Good morning. Thank you for joining Wake Up in Yoga this morning. Doesn't it feel nice just to be here? Just go ahead and take a breath in and a breath out as you arrive. We'll start in a seated position on our mats. My name is Kendra. My pronouns are she, her, and I want to take a moment to thank Global Breath Studio as well as Wild Earth for sponsoring Wake Up in Yoga this morning. So if you haven't done so, you can make your way over to your mat. We'll start in a seated position. Legs can be crossed, whatever's most comfortable for you. And just take a couple breaths here. Relaxing the shoulders down and back. If it feels comfortable to you, placing the hands on the belly. And as you breathe in and out, feel that in the belly. The expansion and the softening. As you breathe in anything that's going to support you for today. And on the exhale, let go of anything that you're holding on to that you don't need. Moving your way up, maybe placing the fingers on each side of the ribs. Breathing in and out. Just feeling that on the ribs as well. Expanding all the way around. And then bringing the fingertips into the armpits, it might seem a little silly, placing the thumbs on the collarbone and feeling the chest rise with each breath. A couple more breaths here. And as you just feel the breath and begin to breathe, I'm going to recognize that anything I'm bringing to you today has come from my teachers and from their teachers. And so I'm just passing along what I have learned. Every movement and posture is just a suggestion. You listen to your body and do what feels right to you. You can bring your fingertips down to the knees. Just take a couple breaths here. And then allow the right ear to go to the right shoulder. And on the in-breath, bringing the head back center. Left ear, left shoulder. Just take a moment here to wake up the neck, the upper part of the body. And then there's an option to take the chin down to the chest and do little half circles back and forth. Maybe you find one spot that needs a little bit of extra love this morning. Perhaps you stop and just hold it on one side or the other. And then on the next in-breath, bring the head back to center, to a neutral spine. And here we're just going to do a couple shoulder rolls as well. In-breath, bringing them up towards the ear, out-breath, down and back. I've got all kinds of crunchiness going on for me this morning. So last week I asked what you like to do to relax. And maybe it is a yoga and meditation practice, or maybe it's something else. Were you able to do that this past week? Releasing those shoulder rolls. We're going to make our way down onto our backs on the mat. Knees can be bent, feet can be just grounded to the mat. And we'll just start here. Again, taking a couple breaths, maybe placing your hands on the belly, feeling the full belly rise and then fall with the breath. If it feels good to you, now is the time to set an intention for today's practice. And just allow yourself to rest here for a moment. Allowing the earth to hold you. Feeling the feet against the mat. The sit bones. The lower back. Upper back and shoulders. And head. All making contact with the earth. On the next in-breath, stretching the legs out long, arms overhead. Just a nice, good morning stretch. Or maybe it's a good evening stretch, depending where you're at in the world. Maybe adding some movement to the ankles. And on your next out breath, bringing the knees into the chest and giving yourself a nice big hug. Thanking yourself for showing up, for being here. Taking some movement, either back and forth or side to side. Placing the fingers on the knees and making circular motions. And the other way. And releasing the feet to the floor. Taking the arms out to a T. If you would like, you can move your body over to the right side, making some room. And then we're just going to have the knees stacked on top of each other, dropping them over to the left side. Gaze is going over the right shoulder. Nice morning twist, bringing out the organs. On the in-breath, bringing the knees up and center. And then starting to adjust the body for the other side. Taking the knees over to the right, stacked on top of each other. Gaze goes over the left shoulder. On the in-breath, lengthening the spine. Out-breath, going into the twist just slightly more. On the next in-breath, bringing the knees back to center. And then here you can either have the feet on the ground or you can raise them up if you'd like a little bit more core action. And we're just going to go and allow the knees to drop side to side, working with the breath. Exhaling to the side, inhale, center. Again, feet can be raised off of the mat, or if it feels better to you, you can keep the toes on the mat and just allow the knees to go from side to side. One more time on each side. And returning to the central position. Arms can come down by the side. We're going to walk the feet close to the seat and then pressing hips up into the air into our bridge. Option here to interlace the fingers underneath. And taking a couple breaths here. Saying good morning to those legs. Mine are definitely awake right now. And releasing back down to the mat. Drawing the knees in. And just taking any kind of movement here that feels good to you. And from here, kind of rocking and rolling and making your way up to a seated position. We're going to cross the legs over one another and roll up into a tabletop. Whatever way that you get there is perfect. In our tabletop, we want to make sure that our shoulders are over our wrists and our hips and pelvis is over the knees. And from here, we'll go into some of our cat-cows. So on the in-breath, dropping the belly down, gaze goes up, sit bones go up. And on the out-breath, tucking the tailbone under, the gaze looks back at the navel. Take a couple movements here with your own breath. If anything else feels good to you, I encourage you to do so. Maybe taking the hips from side to side, moving forward and backward, and some circular motions. Straightening the right leg with the toes still on the floor, leg extended, just taking some movement back and forth here. I'm going to take the right leg and cross it over the left. Something looking straight on at me. My leg is over here. Just breathing for a moment. And returning it to the other side. And now we're just gonna, with the breath, lift the right leg up and exhale. Just about 3 times. releasing it down to the earth, and then allowing the right leg to extend out to the side, right hand up into the air. Gaze can be at the fingertips or down at the mat. And releasing that down to the ground, bringing the leg back in, maybe taking a cat-cow here. And preparing for the other side. Left leg back, the toes are still on the ground. Taking some movement back and forth. And then crossing the left leg over the right, extending it over to the side. Feeling that stretch in the hip. Releasing back to the tabletop position. From here, taking the left leg and just allowing it to move up and down with your breath. Inhale and exhale. One more time. And then just allowing that left leg out to the side. Left hand goes up in the air. Gaze can be looking at your fingertips up in the air or down at the mat. And just remembering to breathe. And releasing that. Bringing the toes together at the back of the mat. The knees are coming out slightly wider. Dropping the sit bones by the feet. Moving into our child's pose. Bringing the forehead to the mat. If that's not comfortable for you, you can always stack your fists or just overlap the forearms and allow the head to rest there. Maybe taking the forehead from left to right, giving it a little massage. And just allowing yourself to breathe here. Revisiting that intention that you set at the beginning of our practice. On the in-breath, moving into our tabletop position. Moving with the breath, we're going to take the right arm, inhale, reach up, exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, up, exhale, thread the needle. Well, the next time that we thread the needle, we're going to just bring that shoulder down to the mat, cheek down to the mat, and just hold this for a moment. Next in-breath, taking that right arm all the way back up into the sky and releasing. Grounding with that right hand, now allowing the left hand to go up into the sky on the in-breath, exhaling, threading through. Take a little bit of movement here. And then on the next time that you come on your exhale, threading through, we'll take that left shoulder down to the ground, left cheek to the ground, and just hold there for a moment. Inhale, reaching that left hand all the way back up into the air, and then releasing it down to the mat. A round of cat-cows here. Returning to a neutral spine. Bringing the right foot in between the hands any way possible. And then just allowing yourself to lean into this. Knee should be stacked over the ankle. You have an option to keep the fingertips on the mat, or if it feels good to you, you can take the hands to the knee. Allowing the hands to come to the inside of that right foot and walking that foot out to the side of the mat, setting up for our lizard pose. So here the option is to stay up on your hands with your foot grounded on all corners. Or if you'd like, you can take an option to go down to your forearms. And then allowing your right hand to move to the back onto the other side of the foot. And then peeling the foot up, the fingertips come back, moving into a half split here. Head can hang. Bringing the right part of the pelvis back, the left part forward. And then we're going to add a little bit of movement here. So on the in-breath, just moving forward into that low lunge, out breath into the half split. Next time that you're in that low lunge position, stabilize through the hands and bring the foot back, releasing down into your child's pose for a moment. On the next in-breath, returning to your tabletop, stabilizing through the hands and bringing the left foot forward. Starting to bring the weight forward. Again, an option to keep the fingertips on the mat or bringing them up to the knee. Releasing the hands to the inside of the foot, walking that left foot over to the side of the mat so we're in our lizard pose. Option to stay on the hands, nice and tall, gaze going forward, heart open, or you can make your way down onto your forearms. Centering the left foot between the hands. Slowly start to peel up the toes, walking the fingertips back into your half split. Drawing the right side of the pelvis forward and the left side back a little bit. Head can hang. Bringing the shoulders away from the ears. On the next in-breath, moving into the low lunge position. Out-breath back into the split. So just moving with your breath here. Or the option to stay in one of these positions if it feels better to you. In-breath moving forward. Exhaling, half split. And the next time you find yourself in that forward position, stabilizing through the hands, releasing that leg back down. You're just taking a couple rounds of cat-cow. Crossing the legs over one another. And then just making your way down to your back. Hands out to a T. Crossing the right leg over the left. Allowing the legs to drop down to the left side. Gaze going over the right. And breath bringing the legs back to center, uncrossing. Left crossing over the right, legs dropping down over to the right side, gaze going over the left shoulder. Lengthening the spine as you breathe in, twisting a little deeper as you breathe out. The next in-breath, bringing the legs back, up and uncrossing. From here, we're going to move into our final resting position. If there's any other position you'd like to take, you can do so. Option to keep the knees bent and just have them drop into one another. Or taking the legs long, toes can fall outward. Hands can be down by your side, on your stomach or heart center. Just noticing the breath. Noticing the body. There's nothing to do. Nowhere to be. Just where you need to be. Starting to bring awareness back to the breath, wiggling the fingers and the toes. On your next inhale, bringing the arms above the head in a nice big stretch. On the next exhale, drawing the knees into the chest. Taking a moment here at your own pace, curled up in this little ball, allowing yourself to fall over to one side. And then using the hand to press yourself up, allowing the head to come last. Returning to a seated position. Taking a breath here. I'll be closing our practice with the universal sound of Om. Exhaling completely. Inhaling fully. Om. A universal vibration connecting all beings. Thank you so much for practicing with me today and joining me for Wake Up and Yoga. I can come and check the chat now and see if anybody has any questions. And just a reminder, I will be here next week at 8 a.m. Eastern Time as well. And I look forward to waking up in yoga with you then. Again, thank you to the sponsors, Global Breath and Wild Earth, for supporting us and allowing us to practice today. Have a great day.